I mean, what more could you possibly want there, right? I mean, come on, let's be honest here. Anyway, so glad you could join us, and we got a lot to get to today. We got some great guests lined up for you. Obviously, the Brittany Griner situation, a little bit more information has come out in regards to how Joe Biden was able to get her out and bring her back home. More outcry from the extreme far right, angry. This guy Whalen, how come he's not back? We're learning more information on that. Whalen actually spoke to CNN. We've got some audio to play for you here in just a couple minutes. We'll be talking a little bit about that as well. So a lot of news to get to, and coming up at the bottom of the hour, one of my favorite guests on this show. He's a former presidential candidate, former Chicago Congressman Joe Walsh will be joining us at the bottom of the hour. I want to get his thoughts on this whole Brittany Griner situation. And, Ocasio-Cortez is under investigation now. We'll talk to him about that. It seems like something that's pretty petty, but we'll talk to him about that as well. And coming up in hour number 2, oh my goodness. What happened to the Raiders yesterday? That was an embarrassment. What an abomination. First of all, you're playing against a quarterback. Mark Hayes, Mark, you can join me here for a minute. I mean, we're going to talk a little bit more about this later. I know you're a lot. Mark, you are a college Division I football player. You have a quarterback, and we're going to talk to Ron Futrell from Channel 8. He was at the game. We're going to talk to him in hour number 2 about this. You have a quarterback that is one day to learn the playbook and outplays Derek Carr. And the Rams find a way to get downfield and score a touchdown within a minute. And they scored 14 points, by the way, in the fourth quarter. The Raiders score 3 points. Your playoffs picture, even though it's a long shot, are on the line, and you lose to the Rams when you're up 16-3, which it felt like it was the entire game they were up. That was another embarrassing loss for the Raiders, right?
Listen, Brian, the Raiders are who we thought they were. Right? They are who we thought they were. We got a little excited when they won 3 games in a row. Yep. Everybody was like, yes, Raiders, 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 Raiders. They are who exactly we thought they were. And Baker Mayfield, America loves a good story.
He's a good athlete.
He can play football. He's a first rounder for a reason. And what happened is the Raiders went in there and looked past McDaniels getting ready for Belichick.
Right.
So they looked past Baker Mayfield and this great story.
Right.
Him one day made history. But that team is the same team that we thought they were before they went on that.
Well, Derek Carr was terrible yesterday. I mean, the pick that he threw into the end zone.
It looked like he did it on purpose.
It looked like it was intentional. And when I first saw it, I said to myself, okay, he must have been hit. And then I go back and I look at the replay. He wasn't hit at all.
Like he threw it up there.
It looked like it was intentional.
Yeah, they scored that touchdown there.
The game's over.
The game is out of reach. So
what was that throw? Do you think he did it intentionally?
I don't think he did it intentionally. I think he thought his receiver would be there to catch the ball, and he just threw it up there for grabs.
It looked
like a Hail Mary, you playing throw up football.
I don't understand it. I mean, I don't understand the throw. I don't understand the play calling down the stretch. I don't understand McDaniels when he says over and over again, well, we got to learn to win these close games. We got to learn to put games away. It's like I'm sick of the excuses. I know they played some better football over the course of the last several games, but again, another game that you cannot lose when maybe you're in the playoff picture against a quarterback. Say what you want about Baker Mayfield. He's only had the playbook for 48 hours.
And not even that long.
Not even that long.
4 hours.
Right.
Because when he first got there, they had to decide if he was going to even play because Wolford was going to set to play, and then he was healthy enough to play. You see, he played one series. Right. But Baker Mayfield didn't know the playbook. They had 5 plays. If you go back and watch, I went back late last night after the game. They had 5 designated plays. Right. They just changed the formation.
And correct me if I'm wrong, the Rams defense is not great. No. Okay, this is not a good football team. No, the defense is terrible. Explain to me, I'm getting angry talking about this.
Don't get angry.
Josh McDaniels raising my blood pressure. Explain to me the play calling and how conservative they were the whole game. They never took any shots down the field.
They thought it was a one-half game. They thought it was one half. Right? They won the game 13-3. Right? In the second half, they scored 3 points on a team that I'm not sure who's better. Who's worse, the Rams or the Raiders? The Raiders.
Boy, that's sad.
That game last night.
Because the Rams are really bad.
They just showed that this team is exactly who was the 2-6, 2-7. They win 3 in a row, but crying and getting on the front of the podium and he needs to take the blame for that game. McDaniels and
Carr
need to say, look, that was on us. That was on me because I messed up. They scored 3 points, a team that's been scoring
the entire second half,
The entire second half to a Rams
pathetic
defense that was playing really on Band-Aids. Their whole team is banged up.
Right.
No quarterback.
Yeah.
They had to get somebody off. I almost say Baker Mayfield was on the street, right? He was a player that you just got off the street as far as one day bringing him in.
You're right.
And going, that's like somebody saying, hey, Brian, I'm going to come in and do your show tomorrow.
Maybe somebody should.
And never have done it before and see how it turned out, right?
Like, that's how Vegas radio works, Mark. You didn't know that? That's how.
I'm telling you, I got to learn a lesson in 2 weeks of how to do you guys' show. You really got to be focused and really know what you're doing. And so Baker Mayfield, shout out to the Rams, though. Baker Mayfield came in.
Listen, they're playing with nothing to lose, right? Mayfield and the Rams, they're playing with nothing to lose. So sure, I'll give them some credit. But the Raiders just, all they do is shoot themselves in the foot. I got to tell you, man, it looked like they intentionally gave it away.
They gave that game away.
It looked like they did. And, you have the best receiver, arguably, in the NFL, and he did absolutely nothing in this game. You're taking no shots down the field. You're taking too much time to get out of the huddle. Your defense is soft. I love Max Crosby. God love him. He's a phenomenal player. But for the most part, the Raiders' defense is extremely soft. You let them march down the field, go 95 yards, go 98 yards. What the hell is going on?
You couldn't get off the field.
I mean, this is an embarrassment. Yeah. It really is. Max Crosby, after the game, saying that, he felt embarrassed. You feel bad for the fans. You should. Yeah. It's not Max Crosby's fault. But, I mean, I'm sorry. I've been saying this for years, and I don't care. They won a couple games, and people are getting a little excited. Derek Carr is garbage. I'm sorry. I've had it with this guy. He shows flashes of brilliance here and there. He is not a good quarterback. I'm tired of people making excuses about him. He'll have games where he has time to throw the ball, and he looks great. He is beyond inconsistent. He is a below-average quarterback now. I'm ready to say that. Half the quarterbacks in the NFL are better than him. I'm sorry. I'm just going to say it right off the bat.
We seen it last night.
I've had it with this guy. You can't beat the Rams on the road. Baker Mayfield outplayed your ass. Look at the stats. I mean, look at his quarterback rating. It was like 92. Look at and Derek Carr was under 40% with his quarterback rating. Carr was trash yesterday. Mayfield played like a guy that had nothing to lose, and he's a better quarterback than Derek Carr. Last night he definitely was. He's more athletic than Derek Carr. Yeah. No. I get, you hear it in my voice. I'm just so frustrated because his team should be so much better than this. And I don't like Josh McDaniels. Yeah. I'm sorry, I just don't like him. When you lose a lot of close football games, like Marcus Arroyo did, right, over the years, it's coaching. A lot of it is coaching. Yes, at some point you have to say players need to make plays. I understand that. But in any sport, in crunch time situations, you look at the staff. And they looked clueless out there. The play calling down was clueless in the second half.
Looked like they didn't know if they were practicing or if they was in a real game. They didn't even look like they showed up. They scored 13 points out the gate, and everybody again got excited. Right? They're like the first date. Right? You get excited, thinking you're gonna go all the way. And you end up doing what the Raiders did.
It looked like a preseason game.
Looked like what the Raiders did last night.
That's the thing. This wasn't a game that didn't mean anything, right? The Raiders could have still been in the playoff picture. 15, 20% chance, maybe outside chance. You have to win this game, right? It was a game that you have to win. That's what's so concerning about this. Listen, Derek Carr's not going to be on this team next year. Yeah. Mark Davis, this is his guy, Josh McDaniels. Derek Carr's not going to be on this team next year.
After last night, I was like, fire the whole staff. Like, how
Terrible.
Do you let a guy that he didn't even know he didn't know nothing about the playbook. He had never even been in the Rams building. Didn't even know and talk to McVay until Tuesday about the play calling. You got guys like you just said the whole season. The Raiders been practicing and playing together, and you got a guy that come in off the got cut by the Panthers. He flies to LA, right?
Immediately.
He flies to LA. Yeah. Physical. He got to go through his pregame conditioning. He had to take a physical. He had to do all those different things before they can actually sign him. He gets the playbook Tuesday night, and here it is Thursday, second series. He's in the game, and they win the game at the end. 17-16.
You know what gets me even more frustrated is that you hear some of these guys, including McDaniels and some of these guys on the team, including even Max Crosby, I'm going to criticize. We played a pretty good football game. We just didn't finish it at the end. No, you didn't. I know you were up 16-3. Right. The score should have been 30-3. You had plenty of other opportunities to put this game away. It wasn't just about the last couple minutes. Yes, the last few minutes of this game was an absolute catastrophe. Disaster. That's the word I would use. Yes, we all know that. But it's not like you looked great out there the whole game. Derek Carr couldn't throw a touchdown pass. He couldn't score a touchdown. Yeah. It's not like, and Josh Perhaps the only guy out there that really performed well was Josh Jacobs. He was hurt. He had a couple injuries. He had the hand injury, had a hip injury, I believe. He still did everything he could to help it. He's really basically that's the only reason why the Raiders were winning this football game. Yeah. This was not a good football game. Forget about the last 5 minutes. They didn't look good out there. They looked terrible.
Yeah, they looked like and it really truly did look like a team that was 2-5, 2-6.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if the Patriots come in here next weekend and beat them too. I really
watch that film.
Yeah,
and you see what the Rams did, right? Yeah. The worst team probably in football right now, second to the Raiders. If you go and see what the Rams did against the Raiders last night and Carr and the play calling, the Raiders might not win another game.
They might not.
If they play like
you're
that.
Right. The defense is soft. Say what you want.
From the secondary, only person on that defense plays.
And it's so inconsistent because the defense looked pretty darn good against the Chargers last week. And they're so inconsistent. And the reason why it's more frustrating is because they have the ability to play better.
Maybe they
much better.
Maybe they don't.
Then how do you explain? I mean, they looked pretty good against the Chargers.
How did they look the first 7 games? Right?
Not great.
Take that and
totality.
That's that team, right?
Yeah.
Every now and then you can get a team can't in the National Football in college. You can get lucky a couple of games. And I think those 3 games was kind of more of a luck. They were emotional.
Perhaps.
The emotions then went down. If you lose to the Rams, Baker Mayfield, right? And the Rams, not Stafford and the Rams, but Baker Mayfield, who was playing last week this time, Baker Mayfield was practicing with Carolina.
It's a joke.
And he won 17-6. He drove all the way down the field. That defensive coordinator, maybe they need to fire him too. And Dick McDaniels need to do something about a staffing issue as far as coaches that know how to coach and get rid of Derek Carr. Sign Josh Jacobs. This team will be pretty good next season.
Yeah, I mean, I hope so, but I don't know how good a team could be when Josh McDaniels is your head coach. I'm sorry. I'm just going to be honest with you. Even without Derek Carr and you put other people in, implement other people in there, I am not a Josh McDaniels fan. Not as a human being. I think he's a nice guy. It's got nothing. It's not personal. It's just I don't think he's a very good head football coach. Offensive coordinator, I'm all on board. Yeah. Sign me up. But as far as decision-making down the stretch in some of these football games, when to go for it, when not to go for it, when to be aggressive, when not to be aggressive. These guys can't even get out of the huddle. Yeah. It's so frustrating to watch these games because you have the talent on the field. I truly believe that you do.
They do.
But it's just from a standpoint of getting players in the right positions and executing plays and the coaching staff, this team has failed miserably in that category. So we'll have to wait and see what happens. But I was Ron Futrell from Channel 8 Sports was at the game in LA yesterday.
Oh, they looked flat. They didn't even come out with no. I mean, those first few points that they got.
But we've seen that.
That's what I'm saying.
We've seen that multiple times this year.
That's kind of automatic, right? They're going to get some points. But you scored 3 points in the second half. So the whole second half, you scored 3 points on a team
inexcusable,
that is crutching around, just trying to. They're just trying to finish the game.
Inexcusable, embarrassing are some of the words that I would use. It falls on, in my opinion, the entire coaching staff, not just Josh McDaniels and Derek Carr. Derek Carr was miserable yesterday.
Everybody.
He is a miserable quarterback getting paid $40 million. Let's just call it what it is. Bring Colin Kaepernick in here, for Christ's sake. I'll take anybody over Derek Carr. I'll take anybody over Derek Carr right now. I am sick of Derek Carr, and I know he's a nice guy, and I know he loves Raider Nation, but that is irrelevant. We're talking about getting it done on the field, not off the field. Yeah. He is not a good quarterback. I am tired of it. He shows flashes sometimes. He sucks. I'm sorry. I've had enough. Yeah. I've had enough. And I know people are going to disagree with me with that statement. I've had it with Derek Carr. I've had it. And that throw yesterday was indicative of his season as far as I'm concerned. The throw that was picked in the end zone. Yeah. I mean, I've seen freshman boys and girls basketball teams that can throw better passes than that. I mean, that was an embarrassing pass. You wouldn't see that in a little league, a mini football league. I mean, he threw it up there with no velocity. It was a jump ball. Yeah. That's basically what it was. You can't do that. No. If you're a professional at any level, you can't do that. So
he threw it up for grabs, and you see what happened. I mean, you're in the red zone, and you've been scoring points. This team has been scoring points the last 3 weeks. All right, say what you want about the teams they played, but they've been scoring points, and you scored 3 points in the second half. That high horse, though, that everybody was excited. The Raiders, 3 games in a row, Raider fans. That's why I don't have one set team. Because last night, if I'm a Raider fan, I'm off that bandwagon, right? If I'm a Raider
disgusting.
fan, if you're a loyal Raider fan, last night was a real disgrace to not only Raider Nation, but also you let the Rams.
I am mentally shut out.
You let the Rams beat you with nothing against Baker Mayfield because he was, he's a first-round pick. So, like he said in his it's ball. It's still football, right? Yeah. You got to play the game. It don't matter who's the quarterback.
Well, he had more energy. Ball. He's a better athlete than Derek Carr. And the Rams were excited to get that W, and rightfully so they should, in the come-from-behind win. The Raiders giving up 2 touchdowns in the fourth quarter. Again, inexcusable, disgusting, embarrassing. Ron Futrell from Channel 8 covered the game. He was out there in L.A. He watched it live. So he's going to be joining us at 1:30 today to give his thoughts on it. But this is, it really is a tremendous embarrassment, Raider Nation. And we'll talk more about it with Ron Futrell coming up a little bit later on in the show, Mark.
Get your blood pressure
it gets me angry.
Don't let it do that to you. Like I said, hopefully you're not a Raider fan. Right, that's the thing.
I want them to succeed. It's just so
local.
Yeah,
right?
I want them to succeed, and it gets my blood pressure going.
Your blood pressure going because I know.
Let's
CPR.
laugh.
I know CPR.
Oh, you don't want to give me mouth to mouth. No, you don't want to, Mark.
Don't pass out on me.
You don't want to give me. You don't want to give me mouth to mouth, Mark. Last person you want to do that to.
Blood pressure racing. Just don't
well,
pass
I'll tell you what.
out.
Let's laugh a little bit. Let's try to have some levity here. This will make you laugh a little bit. Changing the subject here. We'll get back to the Raiders in hour number 2. We've heard about the Respect for Marriage Act that recently passed, and really all this does is it gives people who are gay the right to marry one another, and the Supreme Court can't go after it, and far right-wing radicals can't go after it, and it's a good thing, at least to in my opinion, to any reasonable, not mentally ill human being, that let men marry men, let women marry women, let people do what they want, right? I think most reasonable people would agree with me. So there were some speeches on the House floor yesterday, and I want to play you one of them because you want to talk about somebody who is mentally ill. I'm talking about Republican Vicky Hartzler. She is obviously opposing this Respect for Marriage Act, which already passed, by the way. But some had their last opportunity to speak about this. I want you to listen to a very emotional, religious Republican, mentally ill, Vicky Hartzler, trying to get her constituents to vote against this bill. Have a listen to this.
Mr. Speaker, I'll tell you my priority. Protect religious liberty, protect people of faith, and protect Americans who believe in the true meaning of marriage. I hope and pray that my colleagues will find the courage to join me in opposing this misguided and this dangerous bill. I yield back.
I agree. It's so dangerous. And I pray that gay people are not allowed to marry one another because, oh my God, I pray to Jesus, loudy, loud Jesus, please, my Republican constituents, please. It is an abomination to have 2 men and 2 women married. This is what this woman sounds like. She is mentally ill. And I say that to all of you. If it bothers you that much in your personal space, in your personal life, that a man is allowed to marry a man, or a woman is allowed to marry a woman, that you speak on the House floor and you start crying, then you need to see a therapist. I don't care what your religion is. And a lot of good Christians, at least they call themselves that, they want to say, no, we can't be judgmental of others. We have to accept others. Isn't that the opposite of what these Christians are doing? They're basically saying, if you're gay, not only are you a sinner, but we don't want to give you the same rights as somebody who is straight. That is the definition of being judgmental and judging others. Isn't that what Jesus told you not to do? This woman is mentally deranged. Now, if you don't believe in gay marriage or you don't believe in that lifestyle, I'm not going to call you mentally ill. You're entitled to your beliefs. But here's the difference. They're your beliefs, not everybody else's beliefs. If you are one of those people that not only believes gay marriage is a sin and being gay is a sin, but you want to invoke those beliefs, and that's all that they are. They're your beliefs. That's all they are. They're not the beliefs of God or Jesus. You have no idea what you're talking about. You have no clue. You don't talk to God every day. You don't talk to Jesus every day. I don't care if you're a Bible thumper. I don't care what's written in a book. You have your beliefs and I have mine. Stay away from me and stay away from others. If they want to marry a man, marry a man. Now, Vicky Hartzler went on when she wasn't crying and praying to God that this bill didn't pass. She actually went into detail. So let's dissect this real quick. This is Republican Vicky Hartzler after her losing her mind and getting emotional and crying. This is her continuing and going into detail why she's against this bill. Have a listen to this.
I rise to adamantly oppose H.R. 8404, the Disrespect for Marriage Act. This unnecessary, misguided legislation not only disrespects the importance of traditional marriage for the health of a family, but also disrespects people and organizations of faith who have the constitutional right to carry out their mission in accordance with their most deeply held beliefs. Obergefell is not in danger, but people and institutions of faith are. This hollow amendment provides no tangible protections for religious schools, no protections for faith-based adoption and foster care agencies, no protections for Christian businesses who contract with the government, and no protections for civil servants that justly believe marriage is just between a man and a woman. The bill's implications: submit to our ideology or be silenced. This is yet another step toward the Democrats' goal of dismantling the traditional family, silencing voices of faith, and permanently undoing our country's God-woven foundation.
All right, so Vicky Hartzler is a complete moron. She's an idiot. Let me dissect her ridiculous and ignorant and stupid comments, okay? First of all, how does this disrespect marriage? It's the opposite. Marriage, loving somebody, wanting to spend the rest of your life with somebody. How does it disrespect marriage? Why? Because a man wants to spend the rest of their life with a man, or a woman wants to spend the rest of her life with a woman. Somehow that disrespects marriage. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life. That's number one. Two men or two women could love one another just as much as a man and a woman. So that makes absolutely no sense. It's not disrespecting marriage at all. In fact, I would say to the contrary. How is it not able to carry out your mission? If you are straight or you're a religious nut like this woman clearly is, and you're a woman and you want to marry a man, or you're a man and you want to marry a woman, how is it taking away from your mission? It's not. You can do whatever you want. If you want to marry somebody of the opposite sex, you can do so. If you want to marry somebody of the same sex, you can do so. Nobody's telling you what to do. Nobody's forcing you what to do. Why should you do that to others? So she's, again, 100% wrong when she says she's limiting the carrying out of our mission. What? Unless your mission is to treat people differently because of their sexuality, unless your mission is to judge people differently because of their sexuality, what the hell is she talking about? She's a complete idiot, and she's a nut. She's a religious nut is what she is. And I can't stand it when some of these right-wing, ultra-right Christian idiots use traditional family. A traditional family? Where do you get that statement from? Oh, tradition is you can't be gay? Is that what that is? Would a traditional family mean you can own slaves? Is that a traditional family also? Traditional family. Let me tell you what I think a traditional family looks like. Two good parents, both men, both women, man and woman, who raise children and do a good job in doing so, no matter what their sexuality is. That's what it should mean, traditional marriage. That is through the life of her ignorant right-wing Christian lens, that a traditional family probably has to be white. A traditional family probably has to be man and woman as parents. In her eyes, that's what a traditional family is, but not everybody agrees with her. You're the one that's trying to invoke your beliefs on everybody else. Vicky Hartzler is a perfect example of these right-wing Christian nut jobs who can't just do what they want to do, but want to impose their will on others. They want to impose their beliefs on everybody else. It's wrong. It's judgmental. It's hateful. It's homophobic. You name it. Cross every check mark on the list. Vicky Hartzler is obviously not emotionally stable. Vicky Hartzler clearly is mentally ill. For her to cry on the House floor. Listen, if you want to cry on the House floor and talk about all the gun violence in this country and our children being gunned down, I think that's very fair and warranted. If you want to cry on the House floor about poverty and how many people that are homeless in this country, I think that's very fair. If you want to cry and talk about how our democracy is being attacked, you want to talk about January 6th, or really any bit of violence in this country that is never warranted, that is fair game. And if she wanted to cry about those issues, I would applaud her for her passion, even if I disagree with some of her political beliefs. But for her to be on the floor, she's not crying about any of those issues. No, she's crying at the thought of men marrying men or women marrying women. It's despicable. It's disgusting. And let me tell you something. And I'll say this in closing. If you're one of those people that thinks being gay is a sin, I hate you. I hate you, and I hate everything you stand for. You're the sinner. Make no mistake about it. Being gay isn't a sin. A man marrying a man, a woman marrying a man, that's not a sin. You're the sinner if you judge people because they're not like you. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, former presidential candidate Joe Walsh is going to be joining us. I'll ask him a little bit about this bill. Of course, I want to ask him his take on Brittany Griner and Ocasio-Cortez now being investigated. What did she do? We'll talk to Joe Walsh. We'll take a quick break. We'll be back right after this. You're listening to Pushing the Limits right here on KSHP.
At 9:15 for makeup and COVID rapid test. We will be on for the 10 p.m. hour with Alex Burns and Karen Finney.
10 o'clock hour.
Yeah. No.
You just,
I'm sorry.
you
10
just said.
p.m. hour. Yes. Once you're there at 9:15. And then she'd like your thoughts on the following topics. I'll send you a text.
Just, okay.
Hey everybody, are you struggling to find a pizza place that reminds you of Brooklyn? That true blue New York style pie? Well, worry no more. Saloon's Italian Eatery Pizza is a knockout. Located at 467 East Silverado Ranch Boulevard, just off of Premier Road, half a mile east of South Point Casino, just minutes from the Las Vegas Strip. Come by and grab a slice of pie. Plus, check out our Brooklyn-inspired Italian cuisine. Our sandwiches are super. Hero, that is. Because why be a sub when you can be a hero? Salone Italian Eatery is here to serve you phenomenal food, Vegas. Forget about it.
Makes me wonder.
Look, it's impossible for the average person to find a great attorney out there. There's so much misinformation. Now, let me introduce you to former Chief Deputy District Attorney Thomas Moskal. He was Las Vegas' top DUI prosecutor for years. He prosecuted the most high-profile DUI cases in Clark County. No one knows more about DUI law in Nevada. Just Google it. If you get charged with DUI, whether it's a misdemeanor or even more importantly, a felony, you need Thomas Moskal representing you. His relationships with the prosecutors and judges, his knowledge of DUI law to work for you. So give him a call now or text him at 702-848-5555. It's your life and liberty that's at stake. Don't wait. Call now. That number again, 702-848-5555. All right. All right, welcome back to this Pushing the Limits on a Friday. So glad you can join us. Wow, what a busy news day, right? So much stuff going on. We played you Republican Vicky Hartzler talking about the Respect for Marriage Act, getting emotional, crying on stage. We know what took place. Brittany Griner has been sent home, back to the United States, landed in San Antonio, Texas earlier today. That and so much more. I said, what better person to talk about some of these very important and crucial issues in this country, and what better person than former presidential candidate, friend of the show. Always love having Joe Walsh join us. Joe, good to see you, my friend. Thank you so much for joining us again. How are you?
My brother, good to be with you.
Good to see you, Joe, as always. All right, let me start with this. What was your first reaction when you heard Brittany Griner was freed?
Rejoice, ecstatic. And Brian, I'll be honest with you, I'm generally not someone who believes we negotiate with terrorists for hostages. But having said that, kudos to the president for bringing her home.
Yeah, I agree with you. Obviously, we don't want this arms dealer out and about. We'd prefer that he was behind bars, right? So I agree with that sentiment. What would you say to there are people on the far right, as you know, Joe, that are going after Brittany Griner, saying she hates the country. I don't think because she took a knee or refused to leave the locker room for the national anthem, she hates the country. I don't like it when people say that. I don't think you've ever said that. But what do you make of so many people on the far right that are making claims like that?
Brian, you're too nice to me. There might have been a time or two when I said crap like that. But no, that's every bit as American as waving the flag, right? Burning the flag is every bit as American as kneeling during the anthem. That's what we honor and celebrate is individual freedom. But this plays in right-wing media. Coming from right-wing media, I know that well.
Yeah, and to me, I guess it's not a shocker. What do you make of this guy Whalen? Obviously, he served this country, and this is a difficult circumstance for him and his family. Like, well, wait a second, Brittany Griner has been released. What about our guy? Who served this country honorably? What do you make of that situation?
Well, first off, yeah, he is our guy. He's an American, but Brittany's our gal too. She's an American. It's like, Brian, it's like I think I tweeted this and I said this on a TV show yesterday. I felt all day yesterday that I had to remind all of us that Brittany Griner is an American. She's an American, just like you and me. So is Paul Whalen. My God, are we so divided as a nation that we can't celebrate the return of an American? Look, I take Biden at his word that the Whalen situation is a hell of a lot more complicated. And I take Biden at his word that he's working on it.
Why is it that there are so many Republicans out there that they hate Joe Biden so much that they think that it was a choice, that it was, it's eeny, meeny, miny, mo, and I'm going to take Brittany Griner over Whalen because she's a minority and she's gay. There are actually a lot of Republicans that believe that. I'm not a Republican or a Democrat, but I don't believe that. I believe Joe Biden when he says this was the offer put on the table, and Putin and the Russians are dealing with Whalen and this case much differently than Brittany Griner.
The base of my former party, as you and I have said, is radicalized. Look, there's hate and division on both sides. Man, it's off the charts on the right now. It's not that you're my political opponent. It's not that I disagree with you. It's that now you're my enemy. I want to bury you. I want to destroy you. That is a really prevalent attitude now among the Republican Party base, and it's dangerous.
So, Joe, I agree with you what you said earlier. I'm not happy with this arms dealer being out. I don't think anybody should be happy about that. But here's what I say, and you can tell me whether you disagree or not. The term is hypocrisy, right? Donald Trump, as you know, Joe, released 5,000 Taliban terrorists. Now, I'm sure he didn't want to do that, but I'm sure he had reasons for doing that. But many of these Republicans out there that have a problem with this arms dealer being freed, and that's fine, they kept quiet when Donald Trump released 5,000 terrorists. How could they have any credibility?
They don't. They don't. Look, I'm not the only one who has said this, but because I come from Trump world and I voted for him in 2016 and his people were my people, it is a cult. It really, really is for a large segment of the party base. And a big rule in a cult is the cult leader can never do wrong, ever do wrong. And so they can't admit that. I mean, I actually yesterday had a bunch of Trump supporters firing at me all day, trying to excuse Trump for not bringing Whalen home. I mean, remember, Whalen was arrested and jailed in Russia in 2018.
Right.
I literally had a Trump supporter tell me, quote, Trump wasn't president in 2018.
You're kidding.
Trump wasn't president in 2018, he said with a straight face.
Well, that's pretty stupid. But anyway, isn't that Trump's base, right? I mean, that's Trump's base today. I'm sorry, I say it, Joe. Uneducated people. At this point, if you're still a Trump supporter, I don't think you're very intelligent. If you're just joining us, he is intelligent. Former presidential candidate Joe Walsh joining us right now on the line. So I know you spoke about this with Abrams, I believe yesterday, if I'm not mistaken, about this Ocasio-Cortez investigation. Can you share with us what this investigation is all about? Because to me, anyway, it sounds a bit petty. What is your take on this?
It does sound petty. It's about when AOC last year went to the Met Gala, and she was given a ticket, and she borrowed a really fancy dress. So two conservative groups filed a complaint. It seems pretty straightforward to me, right? That members of Congress can receive tickets to charitable events as long as the charity directly invites them. That's clear. The Met directly invited her. She borrowed the dress. She didn't keep it. New York City officials typically go to this event, right? Because this is a major New York City cultural institution. But again, part of the tribal nature we're in here, you're always trying to go gotcha on high profile members of the other party.
Yeah. I wanted to ask you again another Donald Trump question, but you know what he said about our Constitution. He wants to abolish parts of it. What was your take on that? Is this guy even taking it farther than he usually does now? Because it seems like he's unraveling by the day.
No, I disagree with you. No, this isn't. This is him from day one. So, and I know you're not, but no one should be shocked, dismayed, or surprised by anything he says. But I will remind everybody listening to us right now, give me another name. Come on, tough guy. Give me another name. Right now, Trump's the odds-on favorite to be the Republican Party nominee in 24. I don't see that changing.
So, Joe, let's go there. 6 months ago, I would have told you if Trump ran against Biden, I think Trump would have a decent chance. I actually think Biden is in a better situation now than he was in 2020. I know there's a lot of Republicans out there dislike Biden. He's gotten a lot done in the last 6 months, and I know that's hard for some Republicans to equate and admit. I think if the election was tomorrow, Biden wins in a landslide. That's just my personal opinion. Do you disagree?
I don't. But if the election were held 5 or 6 months ago, Trump might have won. So I don't know what it's going to look like in 5 or 6 months. I do know that Trump is very strong still in the Republican Party. And I do know, and I want to remind every Democrat listening to us, Biden didn't win in a landslide. Look, I'm a rare conservative who'd like to get rid of the Electoral College. It ain't happening by 24. Yeah. Joe Biden won by about 70,000 votes in 3 states. Everybody listening to us needs to understand that the Democrats, this is not automatic that they would beat Trump or any other Republican in 24.
Agree. I don't think it's automatic. I just think Joe Biden, and I think we agree, is in a better position now than maybe he was 6 months ago. But no, I agree with you 100%. I don't think it's automatic. I don't trust people that vote. I'm sorry. I just don't. I'm not saying I don't want to sound like Kerry Lake. I trust the democratic process. I guess I just don't trust a lot of Republicans doing the right thing. But I want to ask you a little bit about the Respect for Marriage Act. We might disagree on this, but fundamentally, I think we'll agree that, let people do what they want, right? I don't want the government involved in marriage. What do you make of all the Republicans out there that voted against this bill? And if you were still in Congress, how would you have voted?
Oh my gosh. Yes. Obviously, my friend, I would have voted for it. I mean, I'm struck by my former political party. I kept saying to myself the other day, it's 2022. It's the year 2022. And the House of Representatives still feels like they have to pass legislation to protect same-sex and interracial marriage in the year 2022. So how out of touch, right, is my former party on a basic issue of freedom like this? It's no surprise that young people don't vote Republican.
Yeah, and let's dig deeper into this for a moment, because as I said in the first segment, listen, I would imagine maybe you're one of those people, which I respect. If you don't believe in that lifestyle or your religion, you don't believe in 2 men or 2 women getting married, that you're entitled to your belief, but just don't infringe on other people. That's all I ask. Do you, right? Are you one of those people where you're not necessarily, you don't agree with the lifestyle, but you don't want to tell other people what to do?
No. I know I'm a crazy Tea Party conservative, my friend. But on most of this social stuff, I'm very libertarian. Live and let live. Right. I'm like Barack Obama. I've never said that. I'm like Hillary Clinton. Let's remember this whole same-sex marriage thing it's come like this. The world has changed like this. I said Obama and Hillary because 15, 20 years ago, Obama and Hillary opposed same-sex marriage. When I was in Congress 10 years ago, I opposed same-sex marriage. I've never opposed a lifestyle. But like many Democrats, I've gotten with it. Enough. Move on. It's the law of the land. Happy for them. This is a fight, but there is a sizable contingent of Republicans that hasn't moved on from this, and they're still fighting it.
Amen. Yeah, I'm with you on that. So, Joe, I had a controversial filmmaker on the show a few days ago. He did a documentary about Michelle Obama. He seems to think, as do many others that I've talked to, that eventually Michelle Obama is going to announce that she's running for president. Now, I think that's Republicans' worst nightmare because I think she would defeat just about anybody on the right. So that's my first question. Do you believe that Michelle Obama will run for president in 2024? And if she does, can you name me one Republican that can beat her?
No and no. No, I don't think she'll ever run for president, but I agree with you. If she did ever run for president, I can't think of one Republican that could beat her.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one. Last question, going back to Brittany Griner. I've said
by
that.
the way,
Yep.
to your question, my friend.
Sure. Yep.
We still live in a culture where I like the idea of people from outside of politics running for office. I know post Herschel Walker, there are some celebrities that have no business running for office, but I got no problem with actors and actresses, businessmen and women, celebrities throwing their hat in the ring. I think generally that's a good thing. And I think a lot of Americans want that because you and I have never talked about this because the Republican Party is so messed up. Right. Look, I'm sick of politicians in both parties. And I think most Americans who identify as independent now are tired of both parties.
I'm with you 100%. You just opened up a can of worms. I didn't even ask you about Herschel Walker, but I'll ask you this. Is it daunting to you that you had, even if you don't like Raphael Warnock, you don't like his policies, I get that. Look at all the people that voted for Herschel Walker. I mean, to me, that's just astounding. What do you make of that? It was pretty close. What do you make of all the people that wanted Herschel Walker representing them?
Well, it's Georgia. Let's remember, it's Georgia. Georgia's not a blue state yet. Every one of these states is different. And it's the Republican Party now. It's my team. I don't give a damn who the candidate is. It's my team, damn it.
Yeah. Will you, if Donald Trump obviously is running for office again, and he probably will be the front runner, a lot can happen between now and 2024. But I would assume that if it is against Joe Biden or any Democrat for the most part, you will vote for the Democrat over Donald Trump. Is that a fair assumption to make?
Yeah, I said somewhere else earlier this week, my friend, that I'm a proud Tea Party libertarian conservative. And I think for the rest of my life, I will be in this position where I am working my ass off to help get Democrats elected because those guys over there, my former party, are a real direct threat to our democracy. So this is going to continue to be me for some time.
Last question, Joe. Last time you were on our show, you had made the statement that if Donald Trump is elected president in 2024, you will consider leaving the country. I posted that on social media and it got a lot of reaction. Is there anything else you want to add to that? Because I would imagine you're being very genuine, as you always are, and you're being honest. And you still believe that if Donald Trump is our president in 2024 and he wins, you might not be living in this country anymore.
I believe I'd have to leave. I wouldn't feel safe. I know that he has a list of people who he would exact revenge on. And suffice to say, I wouldn't feel safe living in this country because of that. Absolutely.
I understand why you would make that statement, my friend. Joe Walsh, you are always one of my
I'm
favorites.
going to move to Portugal and run to be the president of Portugal. Damn it.
Can I be your vice president?
Oh, yes. God, yeah. Let's do it.
I would
That'd be fun.
absolutely get on the ticket with Joe Walsh. Are you kidding me? I'd jump on that opportunity. Maybe the communications director. I don't know if I'm fit for being a politician, but Joe, I always appreciate it. As you know, when you come on this show, you're one of my favorites. And I hope you have a great weekend, my friend. I appreciate your honesty as always. And we'll talk to you soon. Okay. If I don't talk to you before the holidays, have a great New Year's and great Christmas. Okay, my friend.
You as well. Great radio. Thank you, brother.
Thanks, Joe. Appreciate you. It's always great radio because I have Joe Walsh on. Let me be very clear on that. Joe Walsh is the best. God, I love that guy. I really do. And if he ran for office ever again, I would be the first one in line to vote for him. I love him to death. I really do. I love his honesty. How about that? There's a man who in 2016 was a staunch Republican, a staunch Donald Trump supporter. And boy, has he switched in a big way. I'll open up the phone lines if anybody wants to join the conversation and talk about the interview I just did with Joe Walsh. Of course, Brittany Griner is in the news. Number to call 702-221-7283. And again, that number, if you want to be a part of the conversation, give me a buzz. Now's the time to do so. 702-221-7283. We'll take your calls. Now, we talked a little bit about this guy, Whalen, who is a prisoner in Russia. Claims his innocence. It appears as though he is an innocent man. He was given this hard drive, thought it was something else, and he was accused of espionage. It's a whole mess. It's an innocent man who served this country honorably, and now he's wondering, what about me? You let Brittany Griner out. What about me? I understand why he would think that way. So this guy Whalen actually did an interview with CNN, and I want to play you a little bit of that interview now before we get to the calls at 702-221-7283. So this is Whalen, who was interviewed yesterday by CNN.
Always
here we go. Go ahead.
Considered me to be at a higher level than other criminals of my sort. And for whatever reason, I'm treated differently than another individual here from a Western country that's also on a charge of espionage. So even though we're both here for espionage, I'm treated much differently than he is. And my treatment is also much different than others held for espionage at other prisons. I would say that if a message could go to President Biden that, this is a precarious situation that needs to be resolved quickly. And I would hope that he and his administration would do everything they could to get me home, regardless of the price they might have to pay at this point.
So I feel for Mr. Whalen. It's a horrible situation. I feel for his family. It's terrible. Sadly, there are Americans that are prisoners in some of these evil, murderous regimes across the world, really. And I understand why he would feel the way he feels. I understand his frustration. I can't imagine the pain and suffering he and his family are going through on a daily basis. With all that being said, I believe Joe Biden when he says he's doing everything he can and his administration is doing everything they can. And it's interesting because Joe Walsh said something interesting. Donald Trump was our president in 2018. He had a couple years to get this guy out. Why didn't he do it? Now, I accuse Donald Trump of a lot of different things, but never have I said that Donald Trump didn't care about, prisoners of war or, Americans that are unjustifiably behind bars, in this case in Russia. I've never accused him of that because, first of all, it makes politicians look pretty damn good when you can get one of these guys out and bring them home. I don't blame Donald Trump for this. I certainly don't blame Joe Biden and his administration for this either. Joe Biden made it pretty clear that the Russians, and particularly Vladimir Putin and his evil, murderous regime, are treating Whalen's case very differently than the way they treated Brittany Griner's case. Now, listen, I've been very outspoken about Brittany Griner. Okay, she made a terrible mistake. And while in this country it's not much of a mistake at all because we have very different laws here, thank God, very stupid what she did. I'm not defending that. With the drug paraphernalia she had on in Russia, couldn't have happened at a worse time, by the way. What she did was very stupid, and she put America in a very dangerous position. And now we have this arms dealer that is on, I shouldn't say on the loose. He's freed. Nobody's trying to get him. She put this country in a very bad spot. And while she was completely mistreated, and I'm glad she's home, she needs to be apologetic, and she needs to get in front of the cameras when she's ready and admit what she did and try to teach and preach to other athletes not to make the same mistake that she made. She paid the ultimate, well, maybe not the ultimate price, but she paid a very heavy price. Thank God she's home. I'm happy for her and her family. She does not hate America. If you're a racist nitwit, that's what you say. She hates the country. Isn't that what all these white supremacists, many of them Republicans across the country, were saying when Colin Kaepernick was taking a knee, when all these athletes were taking a knee? Oh, they all hate America. If you listen to right-wing echo chamber radio, they all hate America. All these, minorities that are taking a knee during the national anthem, she's not even coming out of the locker room. They all hate America. Well, no, you're an idiot. They don't all hate America. That's wrong. That's incorrect. They are raising awareness when it comes to racial equality. And if you weren't so caught up in your racism, you would understand that. The number to call if you want to be a part of the conversation is 702-221-7283. And again, that number, if you want to be a part of the show, now's the time to do so. 702-221-7283. Let's go to John. John, what's going on, my man? How's it going?
Brian, my man. Hey, yesterday's show was tremendous.
Thank you.
It was Anthony Curtis, and that's the first time I ever heard of that.
Krakenberger. Yep.
Krakenberger guy. He was great too.
Thank you. Yeah, they're great people.
But hey, you know me. I'm a proud liberal Democrat. I'm a huge WNBA fan. Boy, I don't like this Brittany Griner exchange at all.
You don't?
I think no.
Tell me why.
The WNBA was putting a tremendous amount of pressure on Biden, and I think he caved. I think it sets up a horrible precedent. If I was an American athlete with any sort of celebrity, if I was a WNBA player, I would never go to Russia again. And I would be afraid to travel internationally because you can just get scooped up. And the WNBA and the players, they trumped it up.
So John,
they made it.
So John,
They made such a high pressure situation that Biden capitulated.
So John, I respect that opinion, and I want to be very clear on a very important distinction that I think you're aware of that I'm trying to make. There are a lot of people like yourself that don't like this deal, not because Brittany Griner's gay, not because she's a black woman, not because she didn't want to stand during the national anthem. People like you don't like the deal because, as you say, it sets a bad precedence and you're getting rid of this, you're freeing this arms deal. While I don't 100% agree with you, I respect that opinion. The people that I'm going after, as you know, are the people that don't like Brittany Griner and they say she hates America because she's a black gay woman. Those are the people that I'm going after. You see the difference, right?
You're going after the bigoted, retarded Republicans, of which you're going after Trump's base, basically.
Right. Now, listen, it's an interesting point that you bring up. Obviously, in a perfect world, I would like this arms dealer to remain behind bars. Now, let me ask you another question. As a Joe Biden supporter that you are, do you believe that Joe Biden is telling the truth when he says this wasn't a tit for tat and, choose Griner or Whalen, that their only choice was Griner? Do you believe him when he says that?
Putin's not an idiot. I mean, it was clear. It was a political stunt, man. He just did it because he was getting a lot of heat from the WNBA and that whole, the LGBTQ community and so on. And look, at the end of the day, net, we got a bag of weed for, a bunch of arms. A bunch of illicit, illegal arms are going to be used to kill people. Right. And when the first innocent person dies because this arm dealer's out and he arms bad guys and they kill an innocent child, are you going to mourn that child? Are you going to forget about it? You're going to bury your head in the sand and you're going to go to WNBA games and root on Brittany Griner?
Oh, John,
it's a horrible trade.
John, you make valid points. I understand why you would hold that position. I really do, and I respect it. We don't totally disagree, but I understand where you're coming from, my man, and I do appreciate you calling in, John, and I hope you have a great weekend, okay?
Great show, Brian.
All right, thanks, John. I appreciate that. Listen, John's not alone. I respect that opinion, right? I do. John is coming from a place of, I don't hate Brittany Griner. She's a nice person. She made a mistake, but I don't agree with the trade, right? I don't think it was a good deal. And I've had other people on my social media make that claim. I respect that opinion, even though I don't entirely agree with it, but I also agree with a lot of what John said. I do believe that Joe Biden did this partly because of the pressure that the WNBA and the LGBTQ community were putting on him. I don't disagree with that. I think that's a very fair opinion to have. And there's no question in my mind that if Brittany Griner wasn't a celebrity, which she is, she probably would still be behind bars. And that's partly the reason why this guy Whalen is still behind bars. But that's not just a Joe Biden problem, right? That's an American problem. Doesn't matter what president you are. Donald Trump had opportunities to try to get Whalen out. He was the president for a couple of years when Whalen was behind bars. He wasn't successful. So if you're going to go after Biden, you got to go after Trump for the same reasons. But I think John is correct. Joe Biden did get a lot of pressure from different entities, the WNBA being one of them. He's absolutely right. There's no question about that. And I think it's a little naive for anybody to think that, you know, the only reason why Brittany Griner was out was because that was the choice they had. I think a large portion of it is her celebrity status and how big of a case this was. I'll tell you what I'm glad we didn't see. You remember Otto Warmbier, right? The poor kid who was murdered out there in North Korea. He was murdered. And Donald Trump wanted a slap on the back. Job well done. You brought back a corpse, basically. And I hate to say it like that because that's the truth. That's what Donald Trump brought back. At least we got back a healthy Brittany Griner. Let this be a lesson. And I hope Brittany Griner takes this opportunity while to be grateful to be an American, which I'm sure she is, and to be grateful to the Biden administration, which I'm sure her and her family are. She needs to explain to people the mistake that she made in detail. She needs to own it. And I'm not talking about in a Russian court. I'm talking about eventually when she talks to the media. She has to own the mistake she made, admit that she put this country in a very peculiar and difficult situation. Understand that because of her actions, we have a very dangerous man that has been released from prison that can be responsible for the deaths of many people. She needs to own that. She needs to understand that. And I want her and her family every day to talk about this guy Whalen and get him out of there because it is their duty and their responsibility now. That is what I want to see from Brittany Griner moving forward. I'm happy she's home. I don't think she's a bad person. She made a terrible mistake, and she put this country in a tough spot. All right, here's what we're going to do, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to take a quick break. You want to talk about, we were just talking about the embarrassing loss in LA yesterday. Now we're learning exactly who might have leaked John Gruden's emails. Oh, yeah, we have information for you. Who is the person that released these emails? The who, what, when, where, and why. Well, we have the information for you. We're going to share that for you coming up next. We'll take a quick break. We'll be back right after this. You are listening to Pushing the Limits right here on KSHP.
Hey, everybody, are you struggling to find a place to find you a Brooklyn? New York style pie? Well, worry no more. Salone's Italian Eatery Pizza is a knockout. Located at 467 East Silverado Ranch Boulevard, just off of Rainier Road, half a mile east of South Point Casino, just minutes from the Las Vegas Strip. Come by and grab a slice of pie. Plus, check out our Brooklyn-inspired Italian cuisine. Our sandwiches are super. Hero, that is. Because why be a sub? You can be a hero. Salone's Italian Eatery is here to serve you phenomenal food, Vegas. Forget about it.
Look, it's impossible for the average person to find a great attorney out there. There's so much misinformation. Now, let me introduce you to former Chief Deputy District Attorney Thomas Mossel. He was Las Vegas' top DUI prosecutor for years, prosecuted the most high-profile DUI cases in Clark County. No one knows more about DUI law in Nevada. Google it. If you get charged with DUI, whether it's a misdemeanor or even more importantly, a felony, you need Thomas Mossel representing you. His relationships with the prosecutors and judges, his knowledge of DUI law to work for you. So give him a call now or text him at 702-848-5555. It's your life and liberty that's at stake. Don't wait. Call now. That number again, 702-848-5555.
Hey everybody, it's Brian Shapiro from Pushing the Limits. I want to tell you guys about Sahara West Urgent Care and Wellness. They're conveniently located on the southwest corner of Sahara and Jones. They're open Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. and Saturday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. At Sahara West Urgent Care, they'll take care of all your healthcare needs. They offer routine services such as physicals, STD testing, car accident treatment, and work injuries. You name it, they do it. They have on-site X-ray, EKG, ultrasound, and labs. They treat chronic conditions such as asthma, blood pressure, diabetes, and more. They also offer general wellness exams and treatments such as testosterone enhancement and cancer screening. They're located on Sahara, 6125 West Sahara Avenue. Their number is 702-248-0554. And the best part, they accept most major insurances and affordable cash pay prices. Office visits starting at just $95. And I'm also a client. So please give them a call, 702-248-0554.
Look, it's impossible for the average person to find a great attorney out there. There's so much misinformation. Now, let me introduce you to former Chief Deputy District Attorney Thomas Moss. He was Las Vegas' top DUI prosecutor for years. Prosecuted the most high-profile DUI cases. No one knows more about DUI law in Nevada. Just Google it. If you get charged with DUI, whether it's a misdemeanor or even more importantly, a felony, you need Thomas Moskal representing you. His relationships with the prosecutors and judges and his knowledge of DUI law to work for you. So give him a call now or text him at 702-848-5555. It's your life and liberty that's at stake. Don't wait. Call now. That number again, 702-848-5555.
The world-famous radio shopping show, weekdays on 1400 KSHP North Las Vegas and KSHP.com.
The views and opinions expressed in the following program are those of the program's participants and do not necessarily reflect those of station staff, management, and advertisers.
All right, welcome back. You know, it's the second hour. We try to Friday, man. Try to take it easy a little bit. We talk about all these serious issues on this show. At times it can get a little stressful, man. But, you know, knock on the waiters this hour. You know, that's fine. Anyway, welcome back to the show. Coming up at the bottom of the hour, Ron Futrell, Channel 8 Sports, was at the Raiders game in LA yesterday. What the hell happened there? What a monumental collapse. We'll talk to him about that coming up here in just a little bit. And as I mentioned, there's some new information now. John Gruden's emails. Who leaked those emails? Well, we're getting some information now on who might have done that. We've heard speculation getting that. I want to tell you guys about one of my favorite gaming bars in town. What am I saying? One of my favorite gaming bars. It is my favorite gaming bar in town. You know, we had Bill Krakenberger in here yesterday. Anthony Curtis, professional gambler. Anthony Curtis is a regular at Jackson's, as am I, by the way. They're located at Flamingo and Jones, and every Sunday you earn 200 points. You get a $50 in free play. Mondays you earn 200 points and get a free bottle of wine. Tuesdays, 10 times points all day. Some restrictions do apply. Great food, great atmosphere, great people. Also, a pretty darn fun place to watch a Vegas Golden Knights game as well. So please check them out. Tell them I sent you. Jackson's Bar and Grill, located at Flamingo and Jones. So the House Oversight Committee has released its findings in a report in regards to the Washington Commanders, formerly known as the Washington Redskins. Toxic workplace scandal, gave answers and insight to another controversial moment in recent NFL history. I am talking about the Las Vegas Raiders and John Gruden. Oh, yeah, that's right. Just over a year ago, as you know, the Las Vegas Raiders head coach, John Gruden, resigned from his position after emails of homophobic slurs he used were leaked to the media. So who was the source? Who released it? Who had an axe to grind with John Gruden? Who would do such a thing? Now, listen, I'm not defending John Gruden. His statements were horrific. You don't think women, and I'm paraphrasing here, but he didn't think women should be referees in the NFL. He made constant homophobic comments. Statements you don't want to make from anybody that represents your business unless you're just a bigot. So make no mistake about it. Before I reveal who leaked these emails, John Gruden did this to himself. First of all, you did the dumbest thing you can do as an adult. You put it in ink.
In passing, you didn't make a homophobic slur. That would be bad enough. You put it in emails. How stupid of an individual do you have to be? Now, before I say who did this, I'm going to share with you a very personal story. And I'm going to share with you a story that I've never shared on the radio. And it involves my career and a mistake that I made. And then I'll get back to the Gruden thing. But it speaks to saying something in ink, and it could always get back to somebody. This was about, I was a young, stupid, well, I'm still young and stupid. You can make that argument. But I was a young, stupid kid in my mid-20s. I'd only been in radio for about 4 or 5 years. I didn't like my general manager. It has nothing to do with Mark Hayes, by the way. Nothing to do with Mark. I wasn't here at KSHP. This was not a very well-liked guy. I wasn't alone. We all would talk smack about our general manager behind closed doors. He was arrogant. He was a jerk. He mistreated people. And this was a large company that I worked for. And I was a reporter at the time. I was a news reporter. I always knew that there were a few people that I worked with that, I don't know if they had envy of me or they were jealous of me, but I was on the air a lot and they weren't. So I always knew there were a few people there that were kind of had an axe. You know, you work in whatever field you're in, you're always going to have some people that could be backstabbers, right? Or that person that you say, you know what, that person, I don't trust him. That you got to be careful what you say around that guy. There's always that somebody, right? Okay. So in a private Facebook chat with another program director in town, who I'm still friends with to this day, we were having what I thought was a private conversation on Messenger on Facebook. And it was about my general manager at the time. I didn't say anything crazy. I think the worst thing I said was, yeah, he's kind of an a-hole. That's the worst thing I said. That was it. Like I didn't say, I'm going to kill this guy or I'm going to invade his house. Obviously, I would never say something like that, but I'm just to give you context. I never said anything that bad. The worst thing I said was he's an a-hole. That's the worst thing I said. Well, it turns out I must have left my Facebook page open without closing it, or my Facebook was already logged into. You know, sometimes you're on a computer and someone else could log into your stuff. The person who I worked with that I didn't really trust, and I didn't really know a lot about that at the time, was the person who was a news anchor after me. He used the same computer that I used. He found that chat. He went into my Facebook account. He printed out that chat, and he left it and gave it to our general manager. So that was a very difficult situation for me. The program director at the time calls me into his office, which is usually never a good thing. He said, hey, Brian, you know, I'm just letting you know, I don't really have a problem with this. You know, we feel the same way, but this got in the hands of the general manager. He came into my office and said, hey, this is kind of interesting. Look at this. So the program director gave me advice. He said, you probably should talk to him. So that was a very awkward conversation. I go in there, I talk to the general manager. I say, listen, man, it was in jest. I apologize. He kind of made a joke and he actually handled it pretty well. He said, Brian, I didn't think you knew me that well to call me an a-hole. That's what he said to me. But we kind of like laughed it off. So I was actually impressed. And by that day moving forward, I didn't feel that way about him anymore because I was really impressed with the way he handled it. And I appreciated that about him, that he kind of joked it off. I thought I might get fired. And instead, it was the opposite. He was actually more friendly to me afterwards. Hey, Brian, how's it going? How you doing? He even would compliment me. You're doing a good job on the air. I had a lot more respect for him after that, the way he handled that situation. He didn't take it personal. He just said, well, this is kind of interesting. And we kind of laughed it off. And we actually had a better relationship after that. So it backfired on the guy. By the way, that guy who did that to me, who printed out that conversation, was fired 6 months later. I sent him a message in ink and I said, I just wanted to say thank you for printing that out and sending it to the GM. My relationship with him couldn't be better, so I appreciate it. That guy's never been in radio since. So I got lucky, is what I'm trying to say. The general manager took it to, as well as he could have. We joked it off. I don't even think he works in Vegas anymore, but I got lucky. But I learned the lesson that day. Sometimes Brian learns lessons as he gets older. Be careful with who you're talking to and be careful with what you write in ink, because if you write something in ink, it's there forever. Even if you tweet something and then you delete it, all somebody has to do is take a screenshot of it and it's in ink. It's there forever. And I learned ever since that day, if you want to say something to somebody, or you want to say something that could be controversial, do not put it on the internet, because it can stay with you for the rest of your life. People have lost jobs, things that they've said 10, 20, 30 years ago, and they've lost their jobs because of it. You have to be very careful. It's the day and age that we're living in today. Now, why do I tell that story? And by the way, I have never had any incident even close to that since. I'm very careful at times. Now, I might call somebody a buffoon or you're an idiot, but that's different. When it comes to personal situations, whether it be bosses or people you work with, you have to be careful. So I learned that day, and I'm one of the lucky ones. I didn't lose my job. Like I said, the general manager took it very well. The program director took it very well. I was very grateful for that. And I'd also like to think the reason why they reacted that way is I did a pretty good job. I was a good employee. I never had any issues, right? I never was written up for anything. I can't recall a time I was ever written up in my life for anything while I was working. I think when I was 16 years old, I worked in a health spa, and I forgot to fold the towels. I think I might have been written up for that when I was 16 years old. But I was very lucky that day. What John Gruden did is that when I'm talking about writing things in ink, now I've never used homophobic slurs and downgraded people because of their sexuality. I would never talk like that the way John Gruden talked about women in sports and referees. It was awful. So the point I'm trying to make is John Gruden should have known better. He did this to himself, but I can tell you right now, John Gruden ain't going to be talking to Dan Snyder anytime soon, because the person apparently who leaked these emails is Dan Snyder. Now, that was rumored, but we didn't know for sure. Now we do. Snyder was revealed as the anonymous source in the House Oversight Committee's 79-page report that was released yesterday. So this isn't like hearsay. This is the Oversight Committee. We know that they're telling the truth. The emails were leaked October 2021, just about the start of the investigation where former team president Bruce Allen was about to testify. A day before Allen's testimony, the emails were leaked. Interesting timing, huh? Of course, Gruden's the brother of the former Washington head coach, Jay Gruden, who's filed a lawsuit against the NFL for breaking the emails to the Wall Street Journal and defaming his character. But now Gruden will almost certainly add Snyder to the list of people that he has a grievance with. So Gruden might have a case. I don't know. I'm not an attorney. We'll get Thomas Moskal in studio next week, and I want to ask him about this. But some of you might be asking, why would Dan Snyder release this? Why would he do that? Well, he was in a lot of trouble himself, his organization in a lot of trouble. I think what he wanted to do is he wanted to kind of pass the torch, so to speak, for lack of a better term, to kind of take the pressure off of his organization. Mark, I don't know if you agree with me on that or not, but that's kind of my take on this whole thing. I think Snyder did it because he wanted to take the heat off himself. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. I've been kind of following the story. You know, you get bits and pieces, but I looked at the transcripts of the whole thing, and Dan Snyder. I mean, I'm still just kind of appalled by why they haven't to put him in a position. Again, sometimes you get the scapegoat, and I think John Gruden was the scapegoat. He did say some things in email. He did say some things that probably was not right that he should have been saying. But here is Dan Snyder leaking that, and his organization right now is under turmoil, and the NFL also should be to blame because they didn't even take the full responsibility of disciplining Dan Snyder, but they took quick and swift action with John Gruden when he resigned, and there's a slim chance John Gruden may not coach in the National Football League.
I don't think he ever will. And you know why? Because of the lawsuit.
Yeah, and that to me is almost like, okay, let's put the heat on Gruden, kind of like get the small fish instead of Dan Snyder, who was the big fish. And I think Dan Snyder, even though he transferred ownership into his wife, we don't know who's still running that team.
Right.
And I'm not surprised by that. I think this was more of a, okay, I'm gonna hand you guys Gruden, right, and take a little maybe heat off myself in this organization. But his workplace was very toxic.
Awful.
The people he worked with, the things he said, the sexual harassments. I mean, just a plethora of 257 pages I was reading through last night of the whole situation, the transcripts, even with Bruce Allen, who's a part of this too. And so I think that has a lot to do with it. Dan Gruden again was wrong for what he did, what he said, what he wrote, but Dan Snyder has to take some accountability too. And I think the NFL is shielding Dan Snyder a lot, right? They got rid of Gruden in a matter of minutes.
You think Gruden should be allowed to? How should I put this? Do you think he deserved to be let go? I know he resigned, but we all know he was fired.
He was fired.
Do you believe he deserved that? And do you believe he deserves another shot coaching in the NFL?
In the moment, again, we've all been put in situations in the moment. You make a decision, right? And you just make it to appease everybody, right? And I think, again, Mark Davis is a great person. The one or two interactions I've had with him at his time here in Vegas seems like a reasonable person. And I think what Gruden did, they wasn't having the best season, right? I don't think the player. I think it had a factored in with the players. They was ready to get rid of, his $10 million a year contract, right? Sure. So I think he did find a little way out to kind of just say, hey, I'm gonna pay you, but we're gonna have you step down and we're gonna bring somebody in. And I think Gruden got a harsh punishment, and I'm all for second and third chance. It's just me personally, but America sometimes, it depends on who you are or what you look like if you get a second or third chance. I think Gruden is a good coach. Again, just from a distance, I know people that know him personally, have coached with him or under him, have said he loves football. He's passionate. He grew up around football, and to take his livelihood away for a mistake, right? We haven't never really heard any.
I agree with what you're saying. Here's where I think it could have gone a step further. I know he's filing lawsuits and all that stuff.
Yeah.
The man doesn't need money.
No.
Okay.
No.
I understand he's upset that people leaked this stuff, but you're the person who said it, and he hasn't really owned it.
Right.
What I wanted to see, or what I want to see from John Gruden, and what's hindering that are these lawsuits, is him saying, I don't feel that way about women. I think women do a great job, and they should be allowed to be officials in the NFL. I said some stupid comments about women, guy talk, which should never be condoned, and I don't feel that way about women. I don't feel that way about homosexuality either. Maybe give a story of a friend he has who's gay who can say, yeah, John's not like that, blah, 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 blah. That's what I want to see from John Gruden. I haven't seen that from him. Yeah, he might have said, I'm sorry, I'm embarrassed, but that's not enough.
Right.
Man, if you want to ever coach again, and I'm not even talking about the NFL, I'm talking about college, high school, anywhere, he hasn't really owned it.
Yeah.
And it seems like all the people that defend him, they all want to talk about where it was leaked and he's got a lawsuit. Okay, fine. You want to be angry at the people that leaked it, that's fine. But it's like, you know what it reminds me of? And this is the analogy that I'm going to use with you. You have a wife or a husband, or let's just say, there's a woman that's very upset because her husband cheated on her. You're going to be really angry at the woman, but shouldn't you be more angry at your husband, right? That's the analogy here. Okay, you're going to be angry at the person who leaked it, but shouldn't you take more ownership and be more angry at the person who did it, which was John Gruden, right? You can be angry at that woman and be jealous that your husband cheated on you with this chick, and you could be angry at her. That's fine. But the real anger has to come from your husband. I talk about the Boston Celtics situation with their former coach, Neil Long. I get it. Neil Long is angry at the Boston Celtics organization for making this public and not handling it right. She has a right to be upset about that. But I feel like she's making more public comments and more angry about the Celtics than her own man who did this to her. Wow. And I'm like, listen, if your dude that you wanted to spend the rest of your life with didn't do this, we wouldn't be talking about it, right? I feel the same way about John Gruden. Yeah. Hey, John, I understand you got all these lawsuits and you want to be angry at Roger Goodell and you want to be angry at Dan Snyder. I understand that. I understand that. But you shouldn't have said it to begin with. I mean, I'm just trying to be reasonable here. It's like, man up. He hasn't manned up, saying, oops, I'm sorry. Sorry, I'm embarrassed by my behavior. Okay, well, let's expand. Why did you say those things?
It's not enough.
It's
not enough. And one thing we are as people and Americans, we are very forgiving, right? We are but like what you just said is 100% correct. If he stood in front of a podium, like he did when he accepted that contract, right, of $10 million, he didn't have a problem. He wasn't lost for words. He feels those emails were leaked, but the people that leaked them are the ones at fault. not what I said. So that's how he feels.
I don't like that attitude.
In his heart, he feels like that.
And I can't believe I'm going to do this, Mark. I'm going to defend Tiger Woods because obviously adultery and the things he did and the way he treated his ex-wife, horrible, right? I think we all could agree, terrible, hundreds and hundreds of times.
Yeah.
And you can say maybe it was a PR stunt and he wanted to keep his sponsors. Fine, you can say that as well. But the man held a press conference. He apologized to everybody. He owned everything. He said he was embarrassed. He held a press conference just to apologize. Now, yes, he might have been pushed by his PR team. I don't care what the reasons were. Right. He did it. John Gruden didn't do that. I believe if Gruden did that, take a page from the Tiger Woods playbook. He was forgiven.
Yeah.
Okay. Tiger Woods was forgiven, right? He's looked at as a hero now. Yeah. He is people forget about that stuff. And Tiger Woods does a lot of good stuff for charity. And I believe he's a good father and he's kind of turned his life around a little bit. He's still probably cheap and he's probably got all those personality traits for the reason why some people don't like him, but he held that press conference and he owned everything while saying this is an issue between me and my wife, which he did say. He still apologized to his friends, his family, his sponsors. And he said he was embarrassed by his and he owned it all. Right. And I think you're right. I think we are a pretty forgiving culture, right?
We are.
Depending on what you do.
Yeah.
John Gruden said some stupid things. Do I think his livelihood should be taken away? Absolutely not.
Right.
Do I think it was right for him to leave and to be fired at that time? Yes, probably. But I would have no problem with him coaching again so long as he did what Tiger Woods did, which is hold a press conference for one reason and one reason only, not to call yourself a victim, not to talk about your lawsuits, but to actually own what you did, explain why you said the things you said, and give your real thoughts on homosexuality and women in sports. If he did that, I am on board 100%.
Yeah.
But now it's taken too long.
Of course. Are we ready to, will we accept it?
It's taken too long.
We would have in the
just like I feel about Kyrie Irving.
Yeah.
Right. While I'm glad Kyrie Irving eventually apologized, he only did it because it was financially, you can tell when somebody is truly sorry and when they're not.
Yeah, yes.
Right.
Of course.
Is Tiger Woods truly sorry for what he put his ex-wife through? I think he is.
Yeah.
I actually believe him. I think he is sorry. I see him with his kids now and how much he loves his kids and his son. And I do believe he's sorry for what he did. I actually believe him. Tiger had a bad childhood, and I think his father wasn't the greatest example, and he made a lot of mistakes. But there's a lot of females that are big NFL fans. A lot of people who happen to be gay that are big NFL fans. Heck, he coached some people on the team that were gay. You can't do what he did. You can't represent an organization and have those feelings and say the things he said. You certainly can't put it in ink. Right.
I don't, and another thing too. I mean, it's now that I think people know who exactly who leaked the story and who's. Why haven't we got him start talking about Snyder, right? Like he is, like I said,
he's a bad guy.
But he still owns a team, right? And we got, as like I said, we almost as a culture, and I'm talking black, white, green, whatever, red, blue.
Yeah, we
almost pick, right, which people or person that we want to kind of crucify and really just kind of electrocute, right? And Dan Snyder's. What he's done as his owner of an organization, and compared to what John Gruden did, to me, Dan Snyder needs to be held accountable to what he did. And I think the NFL also is some accountability because they allowed Dan Snyder to continue to run this organization, which is a multi-billion-dollar organization. Does it mean because he has a lot of money, he's not going to get punished? But from what I've been reading, they said that he transferred his ownership to his wife.
Right? Oh, okay.
So, quote unquote, he's not the day-to-day operator no more. But again, John Gruden, should he coach again? Will he coach again? That's not me or your decision. We don't know.
I think he will at the college level. I don't think it'll ever happen in the NFL. When you
like you said, until he comes forward,
he hasn't
to
done
a podium and say, "Look, I'm gonna explain why." Because on text message, sometimes we got his side, but who was he talking to saying?
Unfortunately, the culture sometimes in professional men's sports, particularly the NFL. And I say sometimes, I'm not painting everybody to be bigots in the NFL. Sometimes when you're this macho tough guy, NFL coach, player, whatever, a small minority of people look at women and they use the term sissies, or, they'll degrade women and they don't want them in a men's sport. You'll hear the John Grudens talk like that, and it's wrong. And same thing with homophobia, that somehow because somebody is gay, they're not tough, or you're tougher than them. You get that with these macho men pigs in sports in America. And not just this country, in a lot of other countries, it's much worse, but you get that. And that culture needs to change.
Right.
It has to change, because I can tell you right now, I've worked as a 20-year basketball high school official. I've been doing it for 20 years. I've worked with some women that are much better than most of the men out there. I've worked with women that are bad as well, but it has nothing to do with their gender.
Right.
Women are just as capable as men at officiating, whether it be the NFL or high school basketball. Doesn't matter what your sexuality is either. And so Gruden was wrong. I think any reasonable person would admit that. I agree with you. He needs to come to the podium if he wants to coach ever again. He needs to I want him to repeat the things he said, and then I want him to respond to it.
Tell us
Here's what I said. Here's why I said it. Here's why I was wrong. I just want to hear that from him. And I think we might have heard, his friends might have heard that behind closed doors, but I want to hear that publicly. Now, the thing that frustrates me again is that he's got tons of money. He doesn't need to sue the NFL. I understand he's angry. I think this is a bad move. It's a bad PR move for him. Just move on already. Yes, somebody release this information, but you know what? These are your emails. So if you want to say defamation of character, you did it to yourself.
Yeah, he did.
So we'll see what happens, Mark.
And
but
I think he's, just to kind of close, I think he's, again, I mean, when you do have a family and you got a wife and you got kids, right? We walk out of the house and we represent our family.
Sure.
We represent our name, right? That's how
sure.
And again, I mean, we've all made mistakes, right? But when you own that mistake, or when you are apologetic about what you did, we're more open to forgive, right? As a society, as America, as business co-workers, you're more open to say, you know what, if I messed up, here's why I did it. And a person has an understanding, not just speculating why you did it. That Gruden could possibly be coaching somewhere, GA somewhere. He can't even get a TV job right now.
Yeah.
And that was where we've known Gruden, right? From his TV
He's
job.
a personality.
He can't even get a job doing TV. He's not hurting for money, but
it's still
society
fairly soon. It's only been about a year, right? Actually, it's been a little longer than that, hasn't it?
A little over a year.
Yeah, it's been a little over a year. So let's give it a little bit more time. I hope he gets to the podium and does what we talked about. I don't think he will.
Yeah.
I don't think his ego will allow him.
His team, though. Somebody from his team. If you or me was on his team,
somebody
that
should be
been
doing
the first thing
I agree.
Said.
I agree.
You're paying me. Let's get to this podium. Americans are forgiving. Tell them why you did it. Own it. And then you'll be at least forgiven.
Agree 100%. I just don't think he's going to do that. But anyway, we now know who leaked those emails, and it is
of course
Mr. Dan Snyder. And I wish he wasn't an owner.
Mr. Snyder.
Wish he wasn't an owner in the NFL either. He shouldn't be around the NFL either, but we'll have to wait and see how this thing all plays out. All right. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to take a quick break. Here's something else that didn't make the Raiders look very good. It was the game last night in the fourth quarter. What the hell happened? Ron Futrell, Channel 8 Sports, will be joining us next. He was out there in L.A. covering the game. What happened? We'll ask Ron that next. You're listening to Pushing the Limits right here on KSHP.
Hey, everybody. Are you struggling to find a pizza place that reminds you of Brooklyn? That true blue New York style pie? Well, worry no more. Salone's Italian Eatery Pizza is a knockout. We're located at 467 East Silverado Ranch Boulevard, just off Green Road, half a mile east of South Point Casino, just minutes from the Las Vegas Strip. Come by and grab a slice of pie. Plus, check out our Brooklyn-inspired Italian cuisine. Our sandwiches are super hero, that is, because why be a sub when you can be a hero? Salone's Italian Eatery is here to serve you phenomenal food, Vegas. Forget about it.
Look, it's impossible for the average person to find a great attorney out there. There's so much misinformation. Now, let me introduce you to former Chief Deputy District Attorney Thomas Moskal. He was Las Vegas's top DUI prosecutor for years. He prosecuted the most high-profile DUI cases in Clark County. No one knows more about DUI law in Nevada. Just Google it. If you get charged with DUI, whether it's a misdemeanor or even more importantly, a felony, you need Thomas Moskal representing you. His relationships with the prosecutors and judges and his knowledge of DUI law to work for you. So give him a call now or text him at 702-848-5555. It's your life and liberty that's at stake. Don't wait. Call now. That number again, 702-848-5555. Hey, everybody, it's Brian Shapiro from Pushing the Limits. I want to tell you guys about Sahara West Urgent Care and Wellness. They're conveniently located on the southwest corner of Sahara and Jones. They're open Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m., and Saturday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. At Sahara West Urgent Care, they'll take care of all your healthcare needs. They offer routine services such as physicals, STD testing, car accident treatment, and work injuries. You name it, they do it. They have on-site x-ray, EKG, ultrasound, and labs. They treat chronic conditions such as asthma, blood pressure, diabetes, and more. They also offer general wellness exams, treatments such as testosterone enhancement and cancer screening. They're located on Sahara, 6125 West Sahara Avenue. Their number is 702-248-0554. And the best part, they accept most major insurances and affordable cash pay prices, office visits starting at just $95. And I'm also a client. So please give them a call, 702-248-0554. Look, it's impossible for the average person to find a great attorney out there. There's so much misinformation. Now, let me introduce you to former Chief Deputy District Attorney Thomas Moskal. He was Las Vegas's top DUI prosecutor for years. He prosecuted the most high-profile DUI cases in Clark County. No one knows more about DUI law in Nevada. Just Google it. If you get charged with DUI, whether it's a misdemeanor or even more importantly, a felony, you need Thomas Moskal representing you. His relationships with the prosecutors and judges and his knowledge of DUI law to work for you. So give him a call now or text him at 702-848-5555. It's your life and liberty that's at stake. Don't wait. Call now. That number again, 702-848-5555.
Hey, everybody, are you struggling to find a pizza place that reminds you of Brooklyn? That true blue New York style pie? Well, worry no more. Stallone's Italian Eatery Pizza is a knockout. We're located at 467 East Silverado Ranch Boulevard, just off of Premier Road, half a mile east of South Point Casino, just minutes from the Las Vegas Strip. Come by and grab a slice of pie. Plus, check out our Brooklyn-inspired Italian cuisine. Our sandwiches are super. Hero, that is. Because why be a sub when you can be a hero? Stallone's Italian Eatery is here to serve you phenomenal food, Vegas. Forget about it.
Hey, everybody, it's Brian Shapiro from Pushing the Limits. I want to tell you guys about Sahara West Urgent Care and Wellness. They're conveniently located on the southwest corner of Sahara and Jones. They're open Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m., and Saturday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. At Sahara West Urgent Care, they'll take care of all your healthcare needs. They offer routine services such as physicals, STD testing, car accident treatment, and work injuries. You name it, they do it. They have on-site x-ray, EKG, ultrasound, and labs. They treat chronic conditions such as asthma, blood pressure, diabetes, and more. They also offer general wellness exams, treatments such as testosterone enhancement and cancer screening. They're located on Sahara, 6125 West Sahara Avenue. Their number is 702-248-0554. And the best part, they accept most major insurances and affordable cash pay prices, office visits starting at just $95. And I'm also a client. So please give them a call, 702-248-0554. Look, it's impossible for the average person to find a great attorney out there. There's so much misinformation. Now, let me introduce you to former Chief Deputy District Attorney Thomas Moskal. He was Las Vegas's top DUI prosecutor for years. He prosecuted the most high-profile DUI cases in Clark County. No one knows more about DUI law in Nevada. Just Google it. If you get charged with DUI, whether it's a misdemeanor or even more importantly, a felony, you need Thomas Moskal representing you. His relationships with the prosecutors and judges and his knowledge of DUI law to work for you. So give him a call now or text him at
702-848-5555. It's your life and liberty that's at stake. Don't wait. Call now. That number again, 702-848-5555.
Hey everybody, it's Brian Shapiro from Pushing the Limits. I want to tell you guys about Sahara West Urgent Care and Wellness. They're conveniently located on the southwest corner of Sahara and Jones. They're open Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. and Saturday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. At Sahara West Urgent Care, they'll take care of all your healthcare needs. They offer routine services such as physicals, STD testing, car accident treatment, and work injuries. You name it, they do it. They have on-site x-ray, EKG, ultrasound, and labs. They treat chronic conditions such as asthma, blood pressure, diabetes, and more. They also offer general wellness exams, treatments such as testosterone enhancement and cancer screening. They're located on Sahara, 6125 West Sahara Avenue. Their number is 702-248-0554. And the best part, they accept most major insurances and affordable cash pay prices, office visits starting at just $95. And I'm also a client, so please give them a call, 702-248-0554.
STN Sports is the only sports betting app you need this season. STN Sports has it all. In-play betting, mobile parlay cards, the Play Plus card to fund and withdraw from anywhere in Nevada, and the latest lines on every game. STN Sports even lets you earn rewards on every bet. Safe and easy betting from your phone or tablet. Go to stationcasinosports.com or sign up at any Station Casino, Fiesta Wildfire, or the El Cortez. Details at the sportsbooks.
A great time! Your entertainment destination, the South Point, invites you to experience the ultimate great time under one roof. Bowling, dancing, a live show, a movie, delicious dining, and one of South Point's 11 restaurants. So much to see, so much to do. You won't know where to start first. This week, make it a South Point week and discover for yourself why the South Point is your entertainment destination for a great time.
Best of Las Vegas winners each of the last 2 years. Glazed Donuts is a family business. Taste the passion and quality in each delectable handmade donut. Experience amazing fresh donuts at Glazed Donuts, located at 6545 South Fort Apache Road on the southwest corner of Sunset. Glaze is open every day from 6 a.m. to 3 p.m. If you're interested in large orders, please call them at 702-246-2888. Follow Glaze on Facebook and Instagram, where they're showing off all their delicious treats. And check them out at glazedonutslv.com.
Experience the Artisan Hotel's themed suites, restaurant, bar, pool, and complimentary valet. During the week, the Artisan is a quiet Las Vegas retreat that's great for travelers and locals. The weekend is all about nonstop partying and the award-winning Artisan nightlife. All rooms include free gym access and Wi-Fi. The Artisan Hotel is centrally located between the Strip and downtown Las Vegas. Book your stay at artisanhotel.com. The Artisan Hotel, your unique Las Vegas boutique hotel.
The best choice for convenience, comfort, and value, My Place hotels are ideal for both short-term and long-term travelers. The rooms at My Place features pillow-top mattresses, microfiber bedding, and a variety of soft and firm pillows. All extended stay rooms offer their own kitchen, which includes a full-size refrigerator and a cooktop. On-site laundry facilities are also available for extended stays at pet-friendly My Place hotels. Book your stays online at myplacehotels.com. My Place Hotels, St. George, and West Jordan, Utah. Make My Place your place.
Shopping is always easy with the Radio Shopping Show. Whether it's shopping during any one of our live shows right here on AM 1400 or listening live on the KSHP app, you can always call in at 702-221-7283 to pick up great deals with your favorite host. Or shop 24/7 at kshp.com. Go to kshp.com and select Shopper's Guide to browse hundreds of businesses featured on the show. Place your order online and we'll have it shipped right to your front door. With so many possibilities, it's hard not to shop.
All right, welcome back. It is Pushing the Limits on a Friday, getting geared up for VGK back in action tonight at T-Mobile Arena against the Philadelphia Flyers. I don't know, is Eric Lindros coming back to town? I don't know. Too many concussions from him, and then, of course, tomorrow UNLV hoops in action. Eastern, is it? No, Washington State. They're playing Washington State tomorrow, and then the game after. Boy, that's a good one. All due respect to UNLV. We got Indiana in town. The Hoosiers are in town. Of course, Indiana's going to be playing Arizona, the Wildcats. So that's going to be a big game. And then VGK back in action on Sunday
The Boston Bruins come to town. Good Boston Bruins team. So it's going to be a fun sports weekend once again. Before we get to any of the positive stuff, let's get to the negative stuff. And that's why I always love having Ron Futrell on now. I'm just kidding, Ron. Obviously, the Raiders, very disappointing loss yesterday on the road in L.A. And joining me right now on the line, the man, the myth, the legend himself, Ron Futrell, traveling with Chris Matthews, the tag team from Channel 8. Mr. Futrell, how's it going, my friend?
Hey, we were driving back from L.A. after that. I don't know if you saw the Raiders had a game last night. Were you aware?
Yeah, I was.
Yeah. No, they played a game last night in L.A. against the defending Super Bowl champs. And Baker, that's funny thing. Like Baker Mayfield at quarterback, he can't do anything, can he? Isn't he washed up?
So, Ron, you were there, right? We saw it on television, but you and Chris Matthews, you guys were there covering the game. What the hell did that look like? What happened in the final 5 minutes of that football game? And why were they so conservative with the play calling against a bad team? What happened to Derek Carr? He just imploded in that game. He was terrible. I mean, as a whole, what was it like watching that in real time live out there in LA?
I'm going to say what happened in the last 3.5 minutes of that game. When the Raiders get the ball back, because they were trailing 16-3 with 12 minutes to go, and then the Rams go on a 17-play drive that eats up 9 minutes, where you're saying, oh, that's good, it's eating up some time, but it ends in a touchdown. So then the Raiders get the ball back, and they dive into the line 3 straight times with Josh Jacobs. Eats up, very little time, whatever. They get the ball back. They punt. Carlson gets it inside the 2-yard line. They got to go 98 yards, the Rams do. And Ron and I were talking about this driving down. Ron, that hasn't happened in a decade when a team's done something like that. So this, as you'll talk about, this is a biblical collapse.
So let's talk about.
I'm going to call it. I'm going to go Old Testament on you, Brian. Here, I know your show is PTL. I love that acronym because I used to watch a show called the PTL Club. I don't know if you're even familiar with it. But
I'm not. No.
You're familiar with the PTL. So you stole their acronym, by the way.
I guess I did. Well, let me ask you guys this though, both of you. Derek Carr was terrible yesterday. I mean, the pick he threw in the end zone was one of the worst throws I've seen a quarterback make all year. How is it that Derek Carr can have a game like he had against the Chargers, a game on the road against Seattle where they get a nice win there, and we see Derek Carr back to his old tricks? I mean, is this the Derek Carr? Is this the real Derek Carr? Because I thought he was absolutely terrible yesterday.
Well, and here's the thing that we were talking about driving back on this I-15 North is Derek Carr. You got Devontae Adams on your team, and you only throw the ball to him 3 times in a game. He has 3 receptions, 0 in the second half, if I'm correct. Is that right, Ron?
I think it was 0. Yeah, he might have been thrown to a couple of. He was only 4. Derek Carr only threw 4 passes in the second half. So you rip Derek Carr, I'll join you in that. But at the same time, the play calling was so conservative. Josh McDaniels is he's the guy that's protect the lead. Well, you've blown the lead now in trying to protect the lead and play this prevent defense, and then on offense trying to run the clock. It has failed miserably 4 times. That's historic in NFL stuff. It's not the plague of locusts. It's not the river of blood and toads coming out. And so I'm probably exaggerating with the Old Testament comparisons here of a biblical proportion collapse, but it's pretty by NFL proportions, it's a collapse.
So the Raiders actually did part the Red Sea, and the Rams went right down.
Safety.
You guys are hilarious. Chris Matthews and Ron Futrell, Channel 8 Sports, a joy. Talking to them about the game yesterday, which was not much of a joy. Here's the part I don't understand, gentlemen. There's a lot I don't understand about that game yesterday, but this is a must-win game. If you want any chance at all of being in the conversation of maybe having an opportunity to play postseason, you had to win against an atrocious football team. We said that against Jacksonville, right? With that loss. We said it against the Saints in that loss that, Chris, you were at, as was I. How is it possible that you lose this football game? It's not like they played I disagree with Max Crosby. And he says, well, we played a pretty good football game, but we just didn't finish it. No, you didn't. You should have been up 30-3. You didn't play a good football game. Derek Carr couldn't throw a touchdown pass. How is it that you're not, again, you don't seem ready. You don't seem very prepared, lackadaisical. How is it that they weren't playing like a team that should have been playing for a desperate team to try to get into the postseason?
You know, one of the big problems the Raiders have had, not only this year, but last year, their red zone offense is atrocious. They settle for threes. I think, I don't know, what's the rank? 28 out of 32?
Yeah, it's 46% of the time they get a touchdown.
Yeah, so that red zone offense is absolutely atrocious. They got to improve on that. I don't know how they do that, but I don't know if it's play calling, mixing things up, doing something different, but getting players in there that can actually make plays.
Yeah.
But you have the best receiver in the NFL, and he has 3 targets. How many times this year have we said, you got to go to Derek Carr, you got to go to Derek Carr? Here's my thing, Brian. I've said, I was telling Ron this today. What I want to see out of Derek Carr is more Brett Favre. I want to see him take more chances. I want to see him be a gunslinger. Maybe he gets picked off a few more times. I want to see him do more of that. Take some more chances. Risk the opportunities to make a big play more often than not. I want to see more Brett Favre and Derek Carr.
I agree with you, but do you also put some of the responsibility on the play calling? Because I agree with Ron. I just thought the play calling was terrible yesterday. I think it's both ways, and I agree with you, Chris. I think I want to see Derek Carr throw the ball more downfield as well, but I just think the play calling was so conservative and so gross yesterday. I think that's also a big part of it.
Yeah. This was against this is against a bad Rams team. They may have won the Super Bowl last year, but they don't have Aaron Donald was not there. Obviously, didn't have Matthew Stafford at quarterback, and had other injuries with this team. But they were bad even before the injuries hit this Rams team. They had problems before then. So that said, they were favored by 5.5. Okay. And they were going to cover that spread. I know, Brian, you pay attention to those sort of things.
I do, unfortunately. Yeah.
Sort of. I've heard you pay attention to some of those things, you know. And they still couldn't beat this bad Rams team. I do want to let you know and let your viewers know I brought back in the car with me a bunch of Baker Mayfield 17 Rams jerseys that I'm selling. Down if you want them. I think they're probably going to be. First of all, I got to sell them quickly because he probably won't be with the team for very long.
On the way back, did you also take any Gavin Newsom signs? I'm sorry, don't answer that. Horrible joke. Don't go there, Ron. You're joking.
I ran over them and destroyed them. Is what I said.
I thought you might have done that. Ron Futrell, Chris Ron Futrell, Chris Matthews, Channel 8 joining us. They're on their way back from LA, which was a embarrassing loss yesterday. All right. On a positive note, I think we have to give Josh Jacobs a lot of credit, right, gentlemen? He had a couple injuries, did everything he could out there. I think you have to give him some credit. With that note, now the New England Patriots are coming to town, and Bill Belichick. I'm not going to say with a straight face that the Raiders should win this football game. I don't know if they do, guys.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's going to be tough. They got 4 more games left. How about a winning season? That's the hope most you can hope for now, right? A winning season.
Right.
After all the
Well, and New England needs this win more than the Raiders do. Certainly, New England's fighting for a playoff spot right now. They need some good things to happen for them to get there. But they're in the mix right now. And these are two buddies. Okay, we're talking Belichick and Josh McDaniel. I'm not saying this is going to be a Brian Callahan let's see, Super Bowl 2002, 2003, that year when the Raiders played Tampa Bay and Josh Gruden was on the other sideline and the coaching against his good buddy Brian Callahan. And the Raiders sort of blew that game. Some say threw that game.
Yeah.
Brian, you were alive then, weren't you, during that Super Bowl? You remember that Super Bowl?
Barely.
I
was barely alive.
Yeah.
Yes, I was barely alive. So I got to ask both you guys this. Very busy sports weekend. What are the Channel 8 boys covering this weekend? Of course, we got the Vegas Golden Knights in action tonight. We've got UNLV and Washington State, big college basketball game for UNLV tomorrow. And then following, of course, a mega game with Arizona and Indiana. And then, of course, VGK back in action against the very good Boston Bruin team Sunday afternoon. So where are you guys going to be at this weekend?
Chris and I are going golfing in Pahrump, Brian. He told me how fun that golfing in Pahrump. We're getting out of here. We don't. What sports to cover this weekend?
Wait, when you go to Pahrump, that's what you do? Oh, I didn't know that.
That's what we do. Yeah, Chris tells me there's a pretty nice golf course there.
There is actually. There is. Chris Wynn. By the way, Chris Wynn taught Chris Matthews how to play video poker. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that.
Wow. Oh no, it's a tough game.
And remember, I walked away with $90.
He did. Slot free play. And Chris Wynn was his teacher. It was exciting. Yeah, Chris. Yeah, that's true.
It is. let me say this: over my right shoulder, on a machine right behind me, over my right shoulder,
yes,
was a guy named Ryan Shapiro who
That's
won
true.
$2,000.
That's true.
Whoa!
That's true. That's true. I wish it was 2 million.
That's a true story.
That is actually a true story.
All those things you mentioned, we'll be covering it between Kevin Martin and Logan Reaver and us. We'll get them all covered somehow. We got Raiders shows on Sunday morning again, and then we do the Raiders pregame live. It's fun at 8:00 Sunday morning. Check that out. And then we've got
Game On
at 11:30 on Sunday night, and all the sportscasts between. So a lot to do. We do sort of have a Sunday off because we don't have our sports wrap that we do following the Raiders game because the Raiders aren't playing this Sunday.
Correct. Yeah, maybe that's a good thing. Maybe that's a good thing. Let's take a couple days off.
They are walking. They are, Brian. I'm going to give you a little bit of a scoop here. We saw the team right around Victorville, the In-N-Out Burger there, getting lunch because they're walking there. They're making the walk back to Vegas.
They're walking from Victorville. Wow.
No, they're walking from L.A. They were only to Victorville by the time we drove through. But the Raiders, the team has had to walk back to Las Vegas. Just sort of just think about what happened. Just think, guys, we want you to think about it. So I'm guessing by now they might be to Barstow.
I don't know. By the time they get back to Vegas, Bill Belichick might be in town. I don't know. Well, gentlemen, two sports anchor legends, Chris Matthews and Ron Futrell, and two good friends. Both of you guys drive safely, and look forward to seeing you guys this weekend at some of these events. I know I'll see you out there, and I appreciate you guys coming on as always. Thank you so much, and look forward to your coverage on Channel 8 this weekend, okay?
All right. Thanks, Brian.
Appreciate it.
Brian. Remember, PTL, and I don't mean pushing the limits.
Fair enough.
Praise the Lord. Again, doing the PTL club.
Be careful running over all those Gavin Newsom signs, all right? Be careful. All right, gentlemen, you guys drive safe. Good to hear from you guys. Love those guys. They're the best. Chris Matthews and Ron Futrell, they really do a great job covering what is all the craziness and all the sports here in Las Vegas. Two really good guys, too, by the way. That is true, by the way. I did play golf with Chris Matthews in Pahrump. Chris is not a bad golfer, by the way. Chris Matthews. Chris Wynn, on the other hand, not very good. Not a very good golfer. He'll be the first one to admit that. But we had a lot of fun out there on the golf course. We had a good time. Chris Matthews has been in Vegas for maybe longer than I've been. He's been here a long time, and he'd never played a video poker machine. And Chris Wynn gave him a lesson on how to play, and Chris won a little bit of money. So that's true. He won like $90. By the way, Ron Futrell says I know what the spreads are and stuff. Trust me, Ron Futrell knows what the spreads are too. All right, I'll leave it at that. Ron knows what's going on with those gambling lines. Why are we so secretive about gambling lines now? You know, it's interesting because the match. You remember Tiger Woods, Phil Mickelson? They have these matches on TNT, golf matches, and I went to the first one, and I'll never forget it for the rest of my life. I saw Tiger play Phil. Interesting gambling note. They had the press conference for the latest match, which I will not be watching, but it's Tiger Woods and Rory McIlroy, two legends facing off against two youngins and Jordan Spieth and Justin Thomas. Very funny moment in that press conference. I wish I had the audio of it. We don't have time, but really funny moment where Justin Thomas is saying, well, we're acting like we're the underdogs here. And we're approaching it that way. And then Rory McIlroy says, wait, underdogs? The bookmakers have you guys as the favorites, which, by the way, is true. And then Justin Thomas says, well, yeah, that's true. The bookies know what they're doing. I just thought it was a funny moment. You would have never heard that 10 or 20 years ago where you had professional athletes in an event that's, you know, where there's a line or a spread or whatever you want to call it. And they're actually talking about it in the press conference. And the match is going to be played on Saturday. Tiger Woods can barely walk, but because he has a cart, he's able to play in this event. I'm going with the actual real underdogs. I think Tiger Woods and Rory McIlroy beat the snot out of Justin Thomas and Jordan Spieth. So yes, I might be making a small wager on the match this weekend. The Vegas Golden Knights are in town tonight, back in town, I should say. And so are the Philadelphia Flyers. I don't know if that's going to be Eric Desjardins, Ron Hextall, Eric Lindros. That's back in the day when I used to watch the Philadelphia Flyers come to town to play my Hartford Whalers. Very different Philadelphia team that's struggling now. I'm going to go ahead and say this. If you're the Vegas Golden Knights, you have to win this game tonight. After what happened the other night against the Rangers, this is a bad Philadelphia Flyers team. You are a superior team. You've had a day's rest now. No excuses about travel. This is a game that you have to win, and I'm not talking about 1-0 or 2-1. You got to win this game handily tonight. Score 3 or 4 or 5 goals even. Let's go crazy tonight and get a big win and get back on the W track. Folks, that's a wrap. I want to thank Mark Hayes for helping me out all week, as he's done a wonderful job, and also enjoy talking with Mark with his football expertise as a former Division I college football player. I want to thank all my guests today, Ron Futrell, Chris Matthews, former presidential candidate Joe Walsh. They are all awesome. I'm happy to have my friends on this show, as I do all the time, and they're great guests. Guess who we're having on the show next week? Roger Stone is going to be joining us, among many others, so that should be interesting. Thanks for joining us, everybody. Have a great weekend. I'll see you Monday.
Hey, everybody. Are you struggling to find a pizza place that reminds you of Brooklyn? That true blue New York style pie? Well, worry no more. Salone's Italian Eatery Pizza is a knockout. Located at 467 East Silverado Ranch Boulevard, just off Union Road, half a mile east of South Lake Casino, just minutes from the Las Vegas Strip. Come by and grab a slice of pie. Plus, check out our Brooklyn-inspired Italian cuisine. Our sandwiches are super. Hero, that is. Because why be a sub when you can be a hero? Salone's Italian Eatery is here to serve you phenomenal food, Vegas. Forget about it.
Look, it's impossible for the average person to find a great attorney out there. There's so much misinformation. Now, let me introduce you to former Chief Deputy District Attorney Thomas Moss. He was Las Vegas's top DUI prosecutor for years. He prosecuted the most high-profile DUI cases in Clark County. No one knows more about DUI law in Nevada. Google it. If you get charged with DUI, whether it's a misdemeanor or even more importantly, a felony, you need Thomas Moss representing you. His relationships with the prosecutors and judges, his knowledge of DUI law to work for you. So give him a call now or text him at 702-848-5555. It's your life and liberty that's at stake. Don't wait. Call now. That number again, 702-848-5555. Hey everybody, it's Brian Shapiro from Pushing the Limits. I want to tell you guys about Sahara West Urgent Care and Wellness. They're conveniently located on the southwest corner of Sahara and Jones. They're open Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. and Saturday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. At Sahara West Urgent Care, they'll take care of all your healthcare needs. They offer routine services such as physicals, STD testing, car accident treatment, and work injuries. You name it, they do it. They have on-site X-ray, EKG, ultrasound, and labs. They treat chronic conditions such as asthma, blood pressure, diabetes, and more. They also offer general wellness exams, treatments such as testosterone enhancement and cancer screening. They're located on Sahara, 6125 West Sahara Avenue. Their number is 702-248-0554. And the best part, they accept most major insurances and affordable cash pay prices, office visits starting at just $95. And I'm also a client. So please give them a call, 702-248-0554.
Yeah, we're connected here.
So much misinformation.
Yo.
Now, let me introduce you to former Chief
TC. Yeah, I'm here, man.
You got me.
Yeah.
I got you.
You got me? How's our levels?
Sounds good.
Marco, give me it.
Mic check 1 2 3. 1 2 3. Marco. We're good. All right, man. All right. So we're gonna go at 2:01. Okay.
Let's crack it.
All right.
We're ready.
Legal ID and then the stock.
Yeah, right after this spot, man. We're good.
Okay. All right. Let's do it.
Knowledge of DUI law. Give them a call now or text them at 702-848-5555. It's your life and liberty that's at stake. Don't wait. Call now. That number again, 702-848-5555.
The TC Martin Show. We can't produce it too on 1400 KSHP North Las Vegas. Online at kshp.com.
Florenzi, eccolo il cross tagliato di testa che il magnifico errore!
Live Boom! Boom! Shake the room! The entertainment capital of the world. What the strike! What the goal! What the comeback! What the game! There are no words to describe it! It's the TC Martin Show.
Léger hors jeu, mais cette fois-ci, il n'y en a pas pour Marco Reus. C'est pour devant le but.
It's time to get your daily prescription from the doctor, TC Martin.
Largo, pifió. Messi lo tiene, Messi. Ahí está Iniesta. ¡Gol! ¡Gol! ¡Cerebro Iniesta!
The doctor is now in.
Messi, we got to like it back to this soccer action World Cup. What a day for the World Cup. I don't know what was more exciting. Last night's Rams victory or Raiders collapse or either of the World Cup games today. Croatia, my native land. They do it again. They're in the semifinals. Marco D'Angelo is shaking his head. You can't believe it. Marco, you really got to watch this. It's very, very exciting, you know. Yes, Croatia, bye-bye Brazil, and then Argentina wins on kicks on the spots as they just defeat the Netherlands, and that was an amazing contest as well, too. Argentina up 2-0. We go to extra time, and the Netherlands tie it up, but penalty kicks or kicks on the spot is the proper terminology. The Argentines advance. Croatia advances. And we're working our way towards the Final Four and looking forward to that. All right, TC Martin Show live at the Westgate, the world-famous Superbook. So glad to have you with us, TC Martin, my tag team partner here on Fridays. Handicapper extraordinaire, our guy, Marco D'Angelo, in the house. Jay Schrader will be joining us in hour number 2. The quarterback. I got to be careful about that because Steve Berline gets upset when I say the quarterback of the show. But one of our award-winning and Super Bowl-winning quarterbacks. We got 2 of them. We're lucky. We're fortunate, but that's how we roll here. Jay Schrader will join us today a little bit later on. And John Murray, the executive director of Race and Sports here at the Superbook, joins us also today as we talk about NFL Week 14, Army-Navy tomorrow. We even got a little FCS playoff football. That sounds good, doesn't it, Marco? College playoff football. Sounds pretty good, doesn't it?
It does.
Yeah. And hopefully 2024 will have that kind of excitement because, you know, the FCS, you know, the lower division schools, they've gotten it right for a long time. And finally, the FBS will get it right here. But right now we just have to settle for our top 4 teams. And those 2 semifinal games will take place on New Year's Eve. All right, glad to have everyone with us here today at the Superbook. Come on by, see the show live. We're here till 4 o'clock, as you well know, of course, Monday through Friday. TC Martin Show streaming live wherever you may be. Marco D'Angelo with me. What's going on, my friend? How you doing?
I'm doing good, and I know when we have John on later, I think he's going to have a smile on his face. I'm going to venture to say the books got off to a tremendous start on the weekend of NFL action for the house. That had to be a great outcome for the books last night. Not so good if you're a fan of the Raiders here in our local team, but as I texted to you last night, TC, I said, Josh McDaniels did something that's pretty tough to do. You lose to a coach that was hired on a Monday and to a quarterback that was picked up off basically the garbage heap, left out on the curb.
Waiver wire.
Yeah, free to whoever wants him, and beat you coming in on Tuesday. Yeah. And he did that twice in the same year. That takes a lot of talent.
I don't know if it's talent, but I don't know what you call it, but it's pretty absurd is what it is. And we go back to last night's game. Rams beat the Raiders 17-16. Baker Mayfield, who Marco is referring to, off the scrappy. All right, the Cleveland Browns did not want him at the beginning of the year. Right, they'd rather have Deshaun Watson. They'd rather have him suspended for 8 games, knowing that he was going to be suspended for 8 games. they'd rather have Deshaun Watson. So Baker Mayfield lands in Carolina. Not a great destination point for any quarterback. He eventually loses his job for the second time to Sam Darnold. And he says, I want out of here. They grant him his release early in the week. And then goes through the waiver process. And the way waivers works is they put you out there. And then starting with the team that has the worst record in the NFL, they get a chance to claim you. And not many people wanted him except the Rams. And the Rams said, well, we got Matt Stafford, but he's injured. Probably not going to be back for the rest of this year because he's had concussion issues and some shoulder issues, other things of that nature. John Wofford has been their backup. Bryce Perkins has been their third-string quarterback. And so Sean McVay says, you know what? Let's take a shot at Baker Mayfield. Now you're thinking